They said she couldn't speak because the gods punished her mother. They said her silence was a curse that would follow her forever. They said no man would marry a woman who couldn't say his name. But the truth about the silent girl was something no one in that village could have imagined. In a bustling village in the heart of Africa lived a girl named Amara. Amara was 17, and she was known for one thing: her voice. Not just any voice, a voice so pure that when she sang, birds would stop mid-flight to listen. Even the wind seemed to pause, like it didn't want to interrupt her. Every evening, Amara sat under the great baobab tree, and the whole village gathered to hear her sing. That child was born with a gift from the ancestors, the elders whispered, and Chief Okafor, Amara's father, would sit there with quiet pride. Because Chief Okafor was the wealthiest man in 5 villages, and Amara was his only child, his treasure. Then, everything changed. Chief Okafor married again. Her name was Nneka, a widow, and she came with a daughter named Adaeze, Amara's age. At first, Nneka seemed kind. She praised Amara's voice. She made her special meals. She smiled the kind of smile that makes you feel safe. And Amara believed it. Finally, she thought, I have a mother. But Nneka's kindness was a mask. Because Adaeze was beautiful, yes, but she had one problem: her voice. When Adaeze tried to sing, dogs howled, children covered their ears, and people would quietly walk away. And Nneka knew something very simple. As long as Amara's voice existed, Adaeze would never shine. So Nneka began to plan. One evening, Nneka approached Amara with a warm smile and a clay cup. Inside was honey tea. "My dear child," she said softly, "your voice is a gift, but gifts must be protected. Drink this special tea I made for you. It will strengthen your throat and make your voice even more beautiful." Amara trusted her and drank. The next evening, Nneka brought the tea again, and again, and again. At first, nothing happened, but after some weeks, Amara noticed something strange. Her voice wasn't as strong. Then her songs started to crack at the highest notes. Some days, her throat felt tight, like invisible fingers were squeezing it. She tried to tell her father, but Nneka would quickly step in. "She's just tired," Nneka would say. "The girl sings every evening. Let her rest. My tea is already helping." Chief Okafor believed her, because humans always believe the person who sounds calm. Then came the announcement. Chief Okafor declared a grand festival. Suitors would come from far villages to seek Amara's hand in marriage. The village buzzed for days. But Nneka panicked, because now it wasn't just jealousy. Now it was time. The night before the festival, Nneka came with the tea. Her smile was sweeter than usual. "Drink up, my dear," she said. "Tomorrow is your big day." Amara drank, and within an hour, something snapped. Amara's throat tightened so hard she grabbed her neck in fear. She opened her mouth to call for help. Nothing. Not a sound. Not a whisper. Her voice was gone. Amara ran to her father's chamber and pounded on the door. Chief Okafor opened it, alarmed. "Amara, what's wrong?" Amara tried to speak, but only silence came out. She pointed to her throat, tears streaming down her face. Chief Okafor shouted for guards and healers. They came with bitter herbs, hot mixtures, rituals, prayers. Nothing worked. Morning arrived, and Chief Okafor stood before the gathered suitors, his voice breaking. "My daughter Amara has lost her ability to speak." Silence spread through the crowd. Then one suitor stepped back. "I cannot marry a woman who cannot speak," he said. Another followed. "It must be a curse." One by one, they left, and Amara stood in the corner, tears pouring down her face. But she couldn't even cry loudly. She was crying in complete silence. That was when Nneka made her move. "My husband," she said gently, "let my daughter Adaeze represent our family today. She can stand in Amara's place. The festival must not be ruined." Chief Okafor hesitated. He looked at Amara. Amara's chest was already broken, but she nodded slowly, because what else could she do? "Very well," Chief Okafor said. "Adaeze will represent our family." And just like that, Amara went from treasure to shadow. Days turned into weeks, and Nneka's true face came out. "Amara, fetch water. Amara, cook. Amara, sweep. Amara, hurry up." And because Amara couldn't protest, she obeyed. One afternoon, Amara was sent to the stream to fetch water. Her arms ached, her feet were sore. When she finally knelt down to drink, a voice spoke behind her. "You have beautiful eyes, child, but they carry great sorrow." Amara turned. An old woman stood there, bent with age, eyes sharp like she could see through lies. Amara tried to answer, then remembered she couldn't. She gestured to her throat. The old woman nodded slowly. "Ah, your voice was taken from you." Amara's eyes widened. The old woman leaned closer. "Listen. Once a bird with the most beautiful song was poisoned by a jealous snake. The bird lost its voice and thought it was finished. But the bird discovered something important. A voice is not only in the throat. A voice is in the heart, in the actions, in the kindness you show." Then she stared at Amara like she was giving her a rule. "Your voice will return when the world sees the truth of who you are." Before Amara could react, the old woman disappeared. Amara stood frozen, but her heart was awake. From that day, Amara started helping people. When old women struggled with firewood, she carried it. When children were hungry, she shared her food. When goats went missing, she searched for hours. She couldn't speak, but her actions started speaking for her, and people noticed. "That girl may have lost her voice," someone said, "but she has the biggest heart in this village." 6 months later, royal drums shook the land. The crown prince seeks a bride. All maidens are invited. He will choose based on character and heart. Nneka's eyes gleamed like she had been waiting for this. "Adaeze," she whispered, "you will be queen." Then she turned to Amara with cold eyes. "You will come as her maid. You will sleep in the servants' quarters." The journey took 3 days. Adaeze rode comfortably. Amara walked behind carrying bags until her shoulders burned. When they arrived at the palace, Amara was sent away to the servants' quarters. Tomorrow the prince would choose, just not her. The next morning, the great hall filled with beautifully dressed maidens. Then the crown prince entered. "I am not looking for the prettiest face," he said. "I am looking for a woman with a good heart.
someone whose actions match her words. Then he clapped his hands. Servants brought in a basket of fruits, water, cloths, and a crying baby. This baby belongs to a sick servant. I will leave for 1 hour. When I return, I want to see how you have used this time. The prince left. The baby cried louder. The maidens stared at each other in panic. Should we help? One whispered. But that's servants' work, another hissed. So most of them sat down in pretty poses, waiting. The baby kept crying. No one moved. In the servants' quarters, Amara heard the crying, and she couldn't ignore it. She followed the sound and saw the hall full of beautiful maidens doing nothing while a baby wailed. Without thinking, Amara rushed forward and lifted the child. It was burning with fever. She dipped a cloth in water and placed it on the baby's forehead. She crushed fruits and fed the child gently. She rocked the baby, humming a silent tune. Slowly, the baby calmed. Amara didn't notice the prince had returned. He stood quietly at the entrance, watching her. He didn't see a maid. He saw a heart. The prince walked closer. "What is your name?" he asked softly. Amara froze, then pointed to her throat and shook her head sadly. "You cannot speak?" the prince said. He looked around at the silent room full of dressed-up girls who did nothing, then back at Amara. "But you helped when no one else would." He turned to the hall and raised his voice. "I have made my choice." Shock hit the room. "This woman has shown me true character. She will be my bride." Areize screamed, "No! I am the beautiful one!" Nneka rushed forward. "My prince, she is cursed. My daughter is the worthy one." But the prince lifted his hand. "I saw what I needed to see." He turned back to Amara and held out his hand. "Will you accept?" Amara nodded fast, tears spilling from her eyes. "Yes." That night, Chief Okafar arrived at the palace, confused and shaking. When he saw Amara beside the prince, his jaw dropped. "Your daughter has captured my heart," the prince said. "With your blessing, I wish to marry her." Chief Okafar's eyes filled with tears. "You have it 1,000 times over." But then the palace healers stepped forward with the teacups that had been brought from home. They had examined the inside, and they found traces of poison. Nneka and Areize were arrested. "Confess," the king ordered, "or face judgment." Areize broke first, sobbing. "It was Nama. She made it. She gave it to Amara every night." Chief Okafar stared at Nneka like he couldn't recognize her. "You poisoned my daughter under my roof?" Nneka sneered. "Your precious Amara had everything. I did what any mother would do." The king stood. "For poisoning a chief's daughter, you will be punished." And just like that, Nneka and Areize were dragged away, screaming. That night, Amara sat alone in her chamber, and then the old woman from the stream appeared again. "You have learned your lesson well," she said. "You learned that true worth comes not from what you can do, but from who you choose to be." She brought out a small vial filled with golden liquid. "Drink." Amara drank. Warmth flooded her throat. The old woman smiled. "Now, sing." Amara opened her mouth, and for the first time in over 2 years, sound came out. Her voice returned, but it wasn't the same voice. It was stronger, richer, more beautiful. The prince rushed in and froze when he heard it. Amara was singing again, and this time she wasn't singing for attention. She was singing from purpose. The wedding was the grandest the kingdom had ever seen. and Amara sang at her own ceremony. She became queen, but she never forgot what silence taught her. Years later, she would tell her children, "Your voice is a gift, but your heart is your true power. Use your voice to speak kindness, and use your heart to show love." And the kingdom prospered under a queen who learned that silence can teach what sound never could. End. Quick question. If you were Amara, would you forgive Adaize after everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments. More stories soon, so subscribe and stay close.